Here we are.
That was fast. A whole new agenda.
So you going out to Texas soon? Or you been just come back from there or what?
Sammy moved back from Texas.
Oh, he's up here?
He's in Philadelphia. Yep.
That's a lot more convenient for you.
Oh yeah. And now that he started with Delta Airlines
Oh yeah?
about I guess in December or November.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So he's a captain?
Not yet.
Oh.
But he's flying internationally. He's in Rome today.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any perks for you?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Free all around the world travel.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm working on getting my passport.
I have a passport, but I haven't been on an airplane since COVID. So
Yeah, I haven't either. Yeah, I don't know. Well, if you watch the news, you'd never get on a airplane.
no, it doesn't sound like something you want to do.
No, it sounds like a brawl is just waiting
No,
for
I'm
you.
thinking Catherine and I are thinking taking a road trip this summer. I mean, just because why fly when you could? I mean, driving across country might be fun.
Yeah.
Or even
I'd
along
love
just
to do that.
to the Midwest or whatever,
Yeah. Now I've driven back and forth to New Mexico a number of times, and you can always take a different route. It's so
Sure.
much fun.
Yeah.
For sure. Hey, George.
George, you're muted.
And there's a haze.
Yeah, you're in the fog.
What is
You got a yellow filter. You got like a yellow filter on your.
Yeah, that's weird. I've been having funny things happen the last couple of times we've been meeting. That's okay. I feel like I'm in a haze anyway, so what difference?
What about this after the Celtics game last night? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or the night
no,
before, or 2 nights before that.
Yeah. God.
Did they
Whoa.
survive last night?
No, they went to overtime before they could fail, though.
They were up like
Again?
10 with 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, it is awful.
Grant Williams did a nice job, huh?
Oh, I couldn't believe that. Are you kidding? He hits 4 threes right early in the game.
Yeah.
He can't hit a follow shot to win the game. So he was at the line, Becky, with less than a second left. All he had to hit was 1 of 2 and they would have won. Instead, they go to overtime and they lose.
Oh my God, on foul shots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
He's been
I
playing
see AJ must be
basketball
happy.
since-
Knicks fans are happy these days.
Oh my God, they got a good team.
Yeah, they do.
It's good. I congratulate you. It's been a long run.
It's hard to believe. I've been pinching myself every day. Yeah,
See what happens in the playoffs.
that's right. Exactly.
You still got Dolan, though.
That's true. They'll screw it up somehow. Yeah.
Hi, Gail.
All right.
Hello.
I think while we're waiting, let's see who else we're waiting on. Jim Walton said he might not be able to join. I think
Melody.
should be joining. Is there anybody else? No, that's it.
Melody's missing
Nobody's
too.
missing.
Oh, she's busy too?
She's not here.
Oh, right. She hadn't mentioned that she couldn't make it tonight, so I'm wondering if she's gonna hop on. Let's just do a quick kind of organization of the agenda. There are a few changes. So Gail, if you don't mind just hanging with us for a few minutes, the highway department has a transfer request that I told Tim that we would tackle right at the front of the meeting, if that's okay.
Yeah, and I'll just mute myself. I got my husband with our motion detector going wild here.
And then I think we'll talk to Gail about the accountant's budget, and then Ellen's coming on at 7 to discuss the collector's budget. So then we'll get caught up from there. All right. All right, so Melody's on. So I think we'll get started. Tim is here because the highway department, I think I can't remember when it was, but I think I alerted folks at a prior meeting to the fact that Tim had communicated earlier in the year that the highways maintenance budget was, there was a lot of spending on it and that it was likely to be an issue. And so we're at that point. So Tim, do you want to fill us in on
Sure.
the status
Sure.
of that budget line and what your
Yeah, presently we are a little over $3,600 in the hole. The reasons for this are we had a couple of, well, as you know, if you brought your car to a mechanic lately, everything is just, off the charts as far as, parts and labor and everything's expensive. We did have a couple of big expenses. The first one was back in July. That was for over $4,600, and that was on our mower, that our big mower that goes on the front of the loader that does roadsides and over the guardrails and so forth. It was a lot of testing, and it was an electronic problem. Unfortunately, we have no recourse or way to diagnose an electronic problem. Most people don't. You need certain software. You need a laptop. You need to be able to evaluate it electronically. So it was down to Devon Lane and for a long time, and they eventually replaced the it's called the ECU, the electronic control unit, and there's also a control box. Very expensive things, and we got it back, and it was working fine. We've still got some issues with that, but that's going to be something we'll take up in the spring. So that was one of the main things. Our our old John Deere tractor was the other. Basically it needed a clutch, and that in itself wasn't going to be cheap. He quoted me about $5,100 for that. The tractor has to be split in half. The parts are very expensive. It's very labor intensive to do a job like that. Unfortunately, when he got the tractor back together, it would go in reverse, but it would not go forward. So he brought it back in and took it apart again, and he found that a component, the pump, one of the main hydraulic pumps, was cracked. I suspect that they may have done that in the job, and I had one of our part-time employees, Chuck Moore, worked for John Deere for, 15 years or something. I had him talk to this guy on the phone for, I bet he was on the phone well over half an hour. And I wanted to get Chuck's opinion on, he knows the technical aspects of it and the right questions to ask. Anyway, he was on the phone with him a long time, and he said, well, unfortunately, there's no way without us taking it apart and, inspecting it that we can know if they were responsible or not. So I was kind of on the fence as to what to do. The machine, it's a 1983 John Deere. It's got, I don't know exactly what it's got. It's over 7,000 hours on that machine. So in the end, we decided, rather than go for a new tractor and a new backhoe, that we would really attempt to get to the bottom of this tractor business. Chuck has agreed and we will help him, and we're gonna take it apart ourselves, and he's gonna look it over, and he's done these jobs before, and he's fairly confident that we should be able to figure this out. So anyway, all that to say that, we spent another $5,100 on that machine, and so if you take the two, it's almost 10,000. There were a couple other expenses. We needed to replace the turbo in the 10-wheeler, which is our oldest truck. That's an 03. That was $2,800. There's in $2,800 we could have easily absorbed. That's not the end of the world, but when you spend almost 10,000 on just two repairs, it's kind of hard to recover from that. So that's kind of where we're at. I have requested 10,000, and if you take the 36 away from that needs to be used to cover what we're in the hole for, that leaves us about $6,300 to get us to July. Barring any unforeseen events, I think that would get us through. So that's kind of where we're at.
Bob,
Yeah, hey, Tim, this is why we're here. I mean, these are unusual things. Couldn't
Yeah.
have predicted, and so we have a reserve to address those things. As far as the mowing machine goes, I think you might be interested to know that there's some legislation in the federal government to right to repair, to try to put an end to this nonsense of these companies having these highly specialized analytic tools, so you can't repair anything yourself.
Right.
That's baloney, and it's a ripoff, and there's nothing we could do about it, but maybe it'll be fixed in the future. But as far as, I'm really glad you guys are going to try to fix the tractor, though.
Yeah.
And Chuck seems to, these are good machines that can be rebuilt, and hopefully it'll be successful, and we'll get some more good years out of it. There's no way you can prove anything. Once a mechanic, it's like a surgeon, you can't prove it without a jury trial. So we got to just move on, right?
I know. And I mean, this is really a unique situation. I can't think in 23 years that I've ever had a case where, we spent this much money and it's still not fixed. I mean, that bothers me to no end. And I thought about it a lot. And then I thought of Chuck, and I asked Chuck if he would be willing to do it. Back when, excuse me, we did the job, it was, well, it was in the middle, I believe it was in the middle of the season, or maybe in the early fall. And Chuck works, he has a job, and he drives school bus, and it's a big job, and it's not something that you can go into part-time. So when I asked him about looking into this, I said, well, if you're done school bus in early summer, I says, will you stick with this job, and we'll help you? And that way I don't have a tractor that's all apart for the entire summer in my shop. So he agreed to it, and I'll hold him to it, and hopefully we can come out with a good result. I'm hoping we can.
Well, you got the machine, you had some big expensive work done, and it came out more broken.
Right. I know.
That's disappointing.
I know, it was just a clutch, that's a pretty common item, but so anyway, we'll tackle that.
Thanks.
Tim, can you, I just can't recall off the top of my head how this line, what its status was at, or at the end of the FY22 budget. Was that line overspent in FY22, or was it?
No, not last fiscal year. No. I have only gone over budget one other time with this line, with the machinery line. And that was when a motor went in one of our trucks.
Mhm.
And it was, you know, it was a big expense and we ended up going over. But I believe this is only the second time that that line I've ever had to ask for more money in that line. So,
No, that's helpful because I just wanted to make sure
yeah.
there wasn't a question to explore about whether this line has been funded appropriately. Susie,
So I guess I feel like we could make a motion to allocate $10,000 from finance reserves into the highway maintenance line.
Seconded.
all right. Any other comments? I'm just looking, George, you sent me a spreadsheet, I think back last month that had a running balance on the reserve line. I think we're at $33,950. Does that sound right to you? Yeah.
Yes.
Right one, okay. So that's our balance, just for folks.
So it goes down to 23,950 after this vote.
Yeah.
If this vote passes.
Okay, any other comments or questions? All right, let's vote. You want to kick us off, George?
Arvanitis, aye.
Groves, aye.
Hemingway, I.
Cashew, aye.
Mosher, aye.
Okay, motion passes 6-0. Okay, Tim, thank you. Good luck with.
Okay, well, thank you very much for understanding, and I will do my utmost to make sure that balance lasts till July.
That would be great.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, take care.
all right. Next item on the agenda is Gail Weiss is gonna talk about the FY24 accountant's budget. Do we have budget form? I don't think I received it unless I just.
I
I
didn't-
thought I
didn't-
sent it to you early. Gail was like one of the first people.
I don't, let's see.
I mean, actually, I'm going down. Probably one of the few departments that are going down. Because with the purchase of my Vadar and the crossover items, I'm just paying the maintenance fee plus some office supplies and my dues for my association.
So Becky, I'm not seeing it in my inbox. It might have gotten lost or buried in here. Is there?
She and Ellen were the first two budgets in, I think.
Okay.
So I would have sent them really early.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it at our website, at our,
Google
that's-
Docs.
yeah.
There haven't been any additions to AJ's folder. At
Well, there
least I
wouldn't-
keep, because I keep checking and there's nothing new there.
I have a new one to add, which is actually the broadband budget that I just got from Gail Huntress.
Yeah, but there's definitely not one here for the accountant.
No, I don't have it either.
So, Susie, I think
So my-
I'm not sure what happened, but if we could, if you have it open, if we could share it on the screen at least.
I don't have it. Okay. But
No,
Gail-
it would have been scanned and it's, I'm just seeing if I sent it to you, AJ.
Okay.
AJ, it would be helpful if you would check this before the meetings, because I assumed you had it.
Yeah, no, that's my bad.
Sales printer.
I wonder if the Google Doc folder made an extra step. And that might be harder to learn right now or then in the first year.
Yeah.
So Gail, do you have the bottom line number?
Yes, I'm asking for $5,450.
Mhm.
$4,990 is for the Vadar software, and that is locked in. This is the second year, so it'll be locked in another 4 years. I'm not dealing with the 7% every year anymore.
Okay. Mhm.
And then it's 200 for office supplies. As you know, toner being based on oil has gone up. My education to keep me certified, and my dues to my association. So 200 for office supplies, 200 for education, and 60 for my dues equals 5450
Okay. And you said that's down from FY 23?
last year, because I was doing that transition, not knowing if we would have to pay back for the soft right. So I'm good now. And the only question I have, I know Ellen's coming on board. We do pay for 3 licenses. So I don't know if we need a 4th or Becky, because I know one of the licenses for Becky for read only. So that will be an additional 700, but you can work that out with the collector. I mean, in Pelham, we split the soft right fee among various departments.
Right.
Or if Becky's really not using it, there's the 3rd license.
Gail, how much are the licenses?
$700 per portal. But you could come on, like when I'm only on it, when I'm not there, you can go on it and just your password would show just the restrictions, but you can use any portal literally. So for example, I know Ryan works with Ellen. Ryan through his portal will have access to the collector's program. So he'll be using the same portal.
All right, while we're waiting on the budget document itself, let's see if there are questions. Bob?
I was just gonna suggest that we could this sounds like a good budget, but we could vote on it when and send questions to Gail if we get to see the document, because it would be nice to actually see it
Yeah.
before we vote on it, don't you think?
Well,
I'll
we're
have
not
it
gonna
to
do-
you in a minute. I'm just scanning it now.
Yeah, we're not gonna do
Can you
anything.
email it to us, Gail? Do you have a digital copy in front of you?
I'm very low tech. I mean, it's got to get my husband to get it on the copier, email it to me. And he just
Okay.
got home from a 12-hour day. I'm not going to make him do that.
I've got it.
Okay.
Okay.
I can scan it to you in just a minute, guys. Hold on.
And there is no vote tonight, it was just information, and she gave
Yeah.
us the breakdown of what the information is. So that's helpful.
That sounds good. We can look at it before we vote on it.
Yeah,
And
all right. Any other questions for Gail? I feel like at a recent meeting, there was a question about our report, like our report format. It's been like an ongoing sort of discussion, and we thought, I have sort of memory of us saying, well, we could bring this up when Gail's here to present her budget. So does anybody have any sort of comments or requests around formatting of expense report budgets that we want to just raise now that we have Gail in the room? George?
Yes, so Gail, I want to ask you 2 questions. One, it looked to me like your transition between accounting systems went pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's really good. I know accounting switching accounting systems is not easy. Looking at the report, I think I understand how to read it. But the beginning balance, Becky had sent me a email, and she forwarded to me a conversation she had with you about the FinCom balance, FinCom reserve, 75,000, going down to 72.5. When there's an expense, we see the expense come out and we see the new balance. But when there are transfers, you actually have to change the balance at the balance line, not in the expense line.
Yes, it's a line-to-line transfer, basically. The report that I had sent you folks earlier did segregate that out, but you guys didn't like that one, found it hard to read. So when we went to this allocated report, it just automatically deducts because it's any budget transfers, it just deducts from that column. And then you'll see the addition, such as in whatever line item you transfer to.
Well, I noticed for the 2,500 transfer for legal costs for the COMCOM, that you actually created a line for that $2,500. Would you be creating a
did that.
line?
Pardon me?
Would you be creating a line every time there's a transfer? for the
No, I
specific-
did that because it was very specific. And I thought it best not to commingle it with the legal funds in order to track it, since it was capped. Like with, for example, the one you did with Vadar for Ellen. She was fine with it being me putting it in her budget. So you'll see an extra whatever you voted in there. Same with Tim. Tim's will go right into his highway maintenance.
Right, and so the balance that we'll see there will be higher than the balance that was approved at annual
Right.
town meeting because it'll
Right.
include the transfer. Okay,
Right.
thank you. And nice job on the transition to the new system.
Well, I've done it since 2004. Hadley used Vadar. Pelham I set up for Vadar. Orange I was using Vadar. So I love this system.
Oh, that's good. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Susie?
I thought briefly when we talked about this the first and second time that there was a possibility the sheet would look much more like the old sheet and it wouldn't have so many account numbers and it was just cleaner. But now I'm not sure that's what I really saw, or is that possible to make a sheet that's quite a bit like the old one with less entries about different accounts and sub accounts?
I report every account. I was doing it under SoftWrite. The number of accounts are going to stay the same. So, but I have talked to Vadar to see if we can get more of a portrait instead of a landscape. I haven't heard back, and seeing if we could subtotal like all the general government on general fund, all the police on the subtotal that for public safety. But it's just not going to ever look like SoftWrite.
Okay, thank you.
Guys, so someone's more than welcome to sit down with me and go through the canned reports I have. I know if you guys want something specialized, it does cost money.
Jim Walton?
Yeah, I was similar questions regarding the same topic. Have you had, Gail, you said there's a couple other towns you're working with that are using Vadar. Do they have other reports that just seem they're cleaner, or do they?
No, actually, the first report I tried giving you, all my towns use that variance report.
Yeah.
You guys weren't, didn't seem to be too thrilled with it. So I moved you over to the allocated summary, which seemed to be a little more like you were used to.
Yeah. Well, I guess I would maybe I'd volunteer, Gail, based on your comment earlier, I'd volunteer to sit down with you and just explore to see what the possibilities are, if that's okay.
Yeah. Just set an appointment, because certain Tuesdays I am just out straight trying to pay the bills. But I am, just call me, set up a time. I'm usually there 11 to 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you're more than welcome to come in and.
Okay, super.
Okay.
As long as that's okay with the finance committee, I guess.
I think that'd be great. Thanks. And yeah, and
You wouldn't be the first one. Hadley, I had to do the same thing.
Okay.
They weren't happy with a couple of things, but then at the end of the day, they realized what I sent them was the best thing. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
But-
Jim, and if you see, you know, if in that review, if you see a different canned report that you think would be worth us at least taking a look at, that'd be great if you could bring that to us.
And it's easy for me to PDF them and send them to whoever you want me to send them to. You know, if you want just looking to explore different types of reports.
Okay, cool.
AJ, did you guys want to look at Gail's report before she goes?
Yeah, let's see, can I share my, can you give me a screen sharing?
Sure. Or I could.
Okay. All right. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, all right, so we can see the reduction in the licensing fee.
And that license fee barring, unless you add extra portals, that will be the amount for the next, this is year 2, so the next 4 years after this.
Okay,
I have a question about that licensing fee, though.
go ahead, George.
Yeah, where is that on the, I'm looking at the 2023 expense report through February, and I see the accountant section. I don't see a
Mhm.
line for that. So where is that line?
Oh, that was my full budget.
Well, accounting, oh, I see. Got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. You're right. I get it. Thank
yeah,
you.
because there's a portion that we paid through capital and a portion that we paid through my budget. Because the new program, I believe, was 20 plus.
Yeah, I apologize. I missed,
Yeah.
I missed that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Gail?
No.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, and I do split the education cost with the town of Pelham. So they're also paying $200 towards my certification.
Great,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, thanks, Gail.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Good night.
Night.
Okay, next up, we have Ellen to discuss the collector's budget. So Becky, same issue. I don't have.
That's why I emailed it to you.
Okay, see,
You want me to put it on screen?
oh, I see it now. Okay, sure, if you have it.
I
You have
think
it
I
open
did
right now.
leave it open. 1 second. Shoot. Oh, boy. I'm sorry, AJ. I'm having a problem.
Why don't I've got it now, so why don't I
Okay.
share it on my end? Okay, Ellen. If you could kind of walk us through the budget, particularly any changes from FY23, that would be great. Oh, Ellen, I think you're muted. Yeah.
Come on, go there. Okay, for one thing, I'm taking a look right now and I'm looking at, I had put 4,400, but when I actually made out the typed copy, I kept it at 4,320. I think I can do it with that, but it's going to be real tight. But that's okay because, you know, I don't have itemized accounts. So if it's 4,400 and I need 80 more dollars, well, there's somewhere in here I can take it from. The computer maintenance, of course, has changed because of the change to Vadar. And as you can see, it went down. Well, okay, you are looking at a first draft before I had the numbers from Vadar. So I have another draft here that has them all. The computer maintenance, what is 5390. And just like Gail said, this is going to stay the same in my case for 6 years.
Okay. So 5390 is the
Right,
maintenance line.
right.
Yeah.
Now, paper stock, I actually had to up by $300 up to $2,000 because I'm going to have to buy all the paper. And, you know, in the past, I used to buy them by the tax bill, you know, quarter and everything else. And it was actually cheaper. But now I've got to buy the two serrated, you know, the paper with the 3 parts. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to be printing everything on them. If you ever noticed on the back of your bills, currently there's a whole bunch of legal garbage that tells you, if you've read them, you know, all about the taxes and how to get abatements and all the other stuff. Well, that's now going to be on the front page and I've got to print it. So anyway, so that's going to go up. Yeah, we got to go over this.
It's going to be like a separate insert in
No, it's going to be this middle of, I'm going to have a three-part thing. The first part's going to be the bill that comes back to me, and it's not going to look like right now, when you get bills, they look the same. The three parts in this one will not look the same. The one that comes back to me is the top part. The middle part is all this legal gobbledygook. And the bottom part is the part you keep.
Got it.
Or you send it to me if you want it stamped and sent back with a self-addressed stamped envelope. But it's going to be probably, I have a price from the vendor that a lot of the other towns use. It's really not a bad price. But at this point, since I'm just starting this program, I really don't know exactly how much paper I'm going to need. So as a result, what I did on that, when I did my copy here, I upped it by $300 up to $2,000.
Okay.
Office supplies, the office supplies were 900. Where's office supplies? Actually, I took that, to 1,500, and that was strictly based on last year's bill. And also I'm going to be using more toner because if I have to print all this gobbledygook, as I call it, the legalese, it's going to be a lot more printing than I'm currently doing. So, you know, I upped it because, and my cost of my toner is quite expensive. Okay, postage, as you know, postage keeps going up, doesn't it? And I upped that by only $200, but even since I did this, the postage has gone up again. And we have been told that it's going up every 6 months for the foreseeable future. Word to the wise, if anybody is coming in with envelopes, needing stamped envelopes, make sure they have enough money in their budgets to cover it, because we don't know what it's going to be. But we just know that we have already been told by the post office that's going up every 6 months. So twice in a year. And every time they do that, of course, the boxed envelopes go up. So word to the wise. Okay, travel stayed the same.
So what is your postage number? Is it really 4,400 or more?
No, I took it up to 4,500.
Okay.
Because, you know, I have to make sure I have enough envelopes on hand to be able to do
right
everything I have to mail. I came real close one year to, was it last June, to not having enough envelopes. I was really, really scared. Okay, other than that, everything else is staying the same as on this sheet. So to run over the changes that somehow didn't get, you know, you don't have the up-to-date copy.
Yeah,
The banking fee is $43.20. Computer maintenance is $53.90. Paper stock is $2,000. Office supplies is $1,500. Postage is $4,500, and everything else stayed the same. Total $22,270. So it went down by approximately $2,387 or $83 rather, $87. Yeah, it went down a little bit.
all right, that total
And
was
Sounds good.
270, you said, right?
22270, yes. And that'll be, then that hopefully will give me enough and everything else. And I did ask Becky, please in the future, do not use colored paper for this thing, because by using colored paper, we have trouble copying it. This particular orange was awful. When I tried copying it, it came out almost, you couldn't read it.
All right, Bob.
Yeah, hi, Ellen.
Yeah.
I noticed that in my personal life, a lot of my transactions and my accounts are now all performed in a digital manner.
Mhm.
So I don't know what your capabilities are with your new software and whatnot, but it seems to me that somebody, it'd be practical if we could conduct all or some of this business digitally, because obviously, as you say, the postage keeps going up, paper goes up, toner goes up. None of those expenses are obtained when a digital format is used.
Okay,
So,
Bob. Okay, the law was changed several years ago to allow just that. Allow me to send out bills via email. The only problem is I priced it out. The price would have required me to have 75% of all bills sent out via email in order to break even. And that is not going to happen. And then it's up to the people to remember to notify me of a change of email. And I don't know about you, but I have run into problems where, even friends of mine don't tell me when they change their email, much less people who are going to get tax bills from me. So I have looked into that several years ago, and it was absolutely impossible to do.
So that, just to be clear, that there's like, you would have to use an email service to send
Yes.
those bills out? Yeah.
It would have to be an email service.
Uh,
As it is,
I
but
don't
I
know,
do.
Ellen, just to follow up, I don't know anything about this except that it's several years ago, is a long time in the world of digital technology. So maybe somebody should look into this now, because, hey, I pay my property tax with the Unibank, and
I
I
know.
pay them 50 cents instead of you having to, instead of having to buy a stamp. But there's
Well, I
no,
still have to buy a stamp to send you the bill.
yeah, I know. I'm just asking the question. I'm
Yeah, I
just
know.
raising the issue. I know
Right.
how I
Well,
get my bills.
yes, Bob, it would not happen this year, even if I were to look at it at this point, because all that data has to be gathered before I can send out bills in June.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just raising the question, Ellen.
Yeah, no, when I saw the cost, it was like, it was impossible to do. And a lot of people in our town, believe it or not, don't have email. Some people who don't even have computers that do email. I would like to think everybody did, but they don't.
Jim Hemingway.
Ellen,
Yeah, Jim.
yes, you mentioned a toner cost going up because you have to do
No,
all
I
this.
didn't say it goes up. I said I pay a lot for it.
Yeah. You have your own copier as opposed to not being able to use the town's copier?
I have a printer that prints the tax bills.
I see.
That is not a copier.
Okay, I understand. So
It's the printing of the tax bills. When you do 1,200 real estate and 100 personal and probably 2,500 excise,
mhm,
that eats a lot. And then that's excluding the demands and all that. That eats a lot of toner.
right. And this is a special printer of some
No,
sort?
it's a regular printer. It's what is it? I think it's an HP. No, but it's just one of these. It's a bigger size than the little ones you would have at home.
Okay.
And it's a laser printer, right?
And it's a laser printer,
Yeah,
yes.
well, yeah,
Black and white.
yeah, well,
Yeah, it doesn't even have color. I mean, it's not even that good.
All right. Any other questions for Ellen?
Yes,
Becky.
Becky.
Ellen, I just wanted to double check your math. I came up with $22,350 total.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me just, I can tape it right here because I'm sitting here with
Yeah.
with an adding machine right in front and beside me. I may be off. Ooh, sorry, that didn't help any. I had it all at, okay, wait a minute. How far did I get? I had it at 6, oh,
6 places? That's
Yeah.
confusing.
well, I was doing out a percentage for something else and I had it at 6 places. No wonder it looked really crazy. I'm going to redo it. You may be, you're probably right. And okay, I just came out with something. Wait a minute. 43, 20, 53, 2, 15, 45. Oh, I missed the 500. 500. Okay, 500. 60, 1,000, 1,000. There's another boo-boo. You're right. 22,090.
Um,
No, that's not what she had.
no, that's not what, but are
Oh.
you using 5390 for the computer?
No, I'm using for what? I'm sorry.
Computer maintenance I had at 5390, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
I did it 3 times because didn't want to,
So you had 22,350, Becky?
yeah.
22,350. Yeah. I'll use that.
Because we had 4,400 for banking fees.
Oh, it's 4320.
4320.
Oh, you kept it the same?
Yeah, I kept it the same.
Okay, so we're
That's-
still off, but closer.
Oops. I have just lost all of you. I can hear you, but I can't see you. All of a sudden it
Oh, we'll
got
figure
bad.
that.
Yeah, we can add it later.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah, 'cause-
figure it out when I'll work that out with you and bring it back to the finance committee.
My only question is just a quick reminder. Banking fees is 4320.
Banking fees of
53,
40, banking fees of 4320.
Okay, and everything else that's on the screen is the same and
No.
computer
Wait a minute. I can't see, right now I can't see anything because I
Nothing.
can't even see the screen. So
okay,
just,
George, I can tell you. So the banking fees stay the same, not the 4,400. The computer maintenance is 5390. Paper stock went up to 2,000. Office supplies, 1,500. Postage went up to 4,500. Travel is 500. Membership 60. Filings 1,000. Newspaper legal ads another 1,000. And binding commitment books $2,000.
and that comes out 22,270. I have it right here.
That's what I get. That's what I
Beautiful.
get.
Yep. When you corrected the 80 that I had wrong, that's perfect.
I don't know where I lost you to. It's really weird that I can hear you.
Okay, so that worked. 22.
That's what I got too.
270. Perfect. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that.
There, now you're back.
Jim, did you have another question? Or?
Yes, I did. Tell me about the banking fees. What are we
Okay.
paying for?
What I'm paying for is the lockbox, where people send the money to Woburn with the envelope that I put in the thing. And then Woburn takes, as long as there's a bill or bills and a check and they agree, they then put the money right in my account and they actually email me two files, one of which is a copy of all the bills, the other of which is a digital file that enables me to download right into my computer system, and they automatically get posted to the accounts and paid.
Do we get
I
any,
would-
do we get any return from the banks that we, I think it's what East Hampton Savings is one of them at least. We got, because we have a ton of money in these account, in all these accounts. Do
Well,
we-
not my accounts, because they go out so fast, because they go out to Ryan. What do you mean a return?
Well,
Ryan, I'm sure gets interest. I get a small amount of interest.
I
from
was
both my
wondering,
accounts.
what they, what bigger returns we're getting from these, from these big banks.
You would have to, well, first of all, East Hampton Savings isn't a big bank compared to a lot of them, but you would
Yeah.
have to ask Ryan what interest rate he's getting. He's
Yeah.
got the big bucks. I don't.
Mhm.
And for me, it's the lockbox makes it that much easier because frankly, the idea of my having to split all those envelopes, and take them out and process them would mean probably another 2 or 3 hours a day for many days. Like basically what it come down to, my hourly would have to go up. I mean, I'd have to have more hours than 15.
No, I think the
But-
lockbox is fine, but that's probably, you say that's in Woburn, so is this a different organization altogether than?
Yes, it is. It's actually the lockbox that East Hampton Savings uses for all
I
their
see.
clients,
All right, I see. Okay.
and it's in Woburn. And it just makes it that much easier. I believe in that it's far better for me as a part-time collector to make myself to avail myself of all the possible ways to bring the money in without having to spend the time doing it myself.
Mhm.
That's why we have the lockbox. That's why we have the online banking.
Mhm.
It makes
Well,
it so much easier.
What percentage of Shutesbury residents pay electronically?
I'd have to I've been following that, not in terms of residents, but in terms of bills. I could come up with a number.
I'm just curious. Because, Bob does and I do, we just.
A lot of, but you people are very much more cultured than a lot of our people. A lot of our people are scared to death to do that. They really are. They're afraid somehow that, the system's going to get compromised and all their money's going to get stolen or what have you. I will be glad. Or they just, example, I had a call today from a gentleman who was about to go on sabbatical. And his wife and children are leaving in June as soon as school's out. He's leaving now and they'll be gone through July. And he knew that he would be getting his tax bill for August 1st, right around when everybody would have left. And he will not get back till sometime in August. So he'd be late. So he says, what can I do? So I said, well, you've got several choices and your best bet would be to pay it online. So I went through the explanation, telling him, of course, that he gets the orange little slip every time with his bills that tells him how to do it. And he says, yeah, and I throw them away. I've never read it. So that was fine. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do that. So I went through how to do it. And I told him, look, I can do, since I can't probably mail it to you because he doesn't have a firm address in Germany. I said, what I will do is what I do with about 15 other people. Give me your email. I will email you when the bills go out, giving you your bill number, the amount, and of course that it's due 8/1. And then they can email it, through
ACH.
Shutesbury.org, through our lockbox or through our online, and they pay it that way.
Mhm.
And it's a little bit more work for me because it takes several hours for me to do all this emailing, but at least then people get their bills.
Oh. And you say people don't trust the ACH clearinghouse system?
Apparently not, or they don't have computers, or, you never know what the reason is, but a lot of people don't do that. I mean, they still believe in sending it in or dropping it in the box outside.
Uh-huh, I see.
But I can get a number. I'll be curious. I'm curious about that too. And
Yeah.
I've been actually keeping logs of my work. So I have that information available.
Hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, Ellen,
Yeah.
Sure.
for all the information.
Good. Now I've inundated you.
Bob, did you have a question?
No, it's just saying so
Oh,
long to
so
Ellen.
wait. Okay.
Okay. We'll see you all. And now I can go down and watch Red Sox.
Thanks, Ellen.
Okay. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you, Ellen.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so, Gail from the web committee has just emailed me yesterday, asking to get on the agenda, because I think there's some, I don't even know the details. So she's coming on in 10 minutes. So maybe we can talk about minutes, since we didn't do that at the top of the meeting. So Susie sent us February 21 meeting minutes. Have folks had a chance to review those? And does anybody have any questions or requests? They look good to me.
I was wondering about 3, the 4-town meeting, line A. It's the salary question. Our minutes don't really reflect what the question is. You know what I mean? And if somebody was reading this,
So that was that they asked us how we felt about the salary line, and then they put it in the context of what the increase would be if the negotiations went one way or the other. Is that right?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm wondering if we should, expand on that. I'm okay if we don't, but I
Said
just.
we're
threw it out there.
more likely in light of the current contract negotiations. That the end of that sentence explains it more. Is that right? Is that enough?
Sure.
Yeah, it was difficult because it wasn't like they had a very concrete question that they were posing with a specific number of could we absorb.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. When I first read it, when I got the minutes, I was a little confused by the sentence, and I understood that, but that's fine.
And we actually projected that it was likely raised in light of the negotiations. They didn't tip their hand that way.
Okay. Any other questions about the minutes? All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 21st as written.
I'll second.
It's not amended though, is it?
No, I don't think we've made any changes, so.
Okay. As is.
George, you want to start?
Arvanitis, aye.
Groves, aye.
Hemingway, I.
Cashew, aye.
Mosier, aye.
Walton, I. Excuse me, Walton is abstained. I was not at that meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let me give you an update. Capital planning was on the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Learned something.
Unfortunately, we had to push that to our next meeting, March 21st, because there was a request for some additional bids for a project that the school is requesting, and they weren't able to provide that in time we met just before tonight's FinCom meeting. And also Tim is in the process of getting a third bid on a new backhoe, and so he's expecting to get that in the next day or two. So it just made sense to push that to the 21st. So we will not be reviewing the capital planning requests tonight. Becky.
AJ, did you give Kristen a time to talk about her transfer?
Oh, no, I did not give her a time. I thought you just meant for me to put it on the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Okay,
I didn't.
all right.
You know what do you have the details of the request, or?
No, I only have the account, so I'm going to reach out to her while you're
Okay. Gotcha.
doing what you're doing.
Okay. All right.
AJ, quick question. Well, we
Yeah.
have a minute. You sent out, or you or Susie sent out the new accounting agenda or the new accounting schedule. I'm sorry, finance committee meeting schedule.
Yeah.
Would you, I'm just requesting that we put that up on our Google Docs website at some point, or Google Sheet, Google Doc.
Sure, I'll do
I
that.
go there a lot. It's not, and it's really helpful to have it there because the one I just noticed is not up to date.
Okay, yeah, I'll put it up right now, actually. I just moved the capital planning to March 21st.
Thank you.
Okay. So I don't see Gail on here yet. Bob, did you have a question?
I just want to ask a question here now. I'm on the, as you are, as well as you are, I'm on the capital planning committee, I'm on this committee. And I really would like to have a discussion about what the respective roles of those two committees are working together to build the budget, because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm kind of confused. I feel that we're not supposed to talk about, sort of, for example, the cost of things at capital planning. We're not supposed to deliberate about things like the cost of things in finance committee. We don't, I'd like to get clarification in a way that I can understand about what our job is here representing taxpayer when we have major asks presented to us. As far as I can tell, the capital planning committee is kind of an adjunct to the finance committee, really. And, this is something that we have to manage, and we have to manage in a way that through a process that should be more clear for me, at least, because I just don't see what it is that we do in capital planning if we don't evaluate the proposal based on its cost and on its need, the need of the town to provide whatever the ask is. And then here in finance, if we can't evaluate the costs and the impact on the budget and on the taxpayer's burden, I don't know what our role is as finance committee, but I would like to see it. I know Becky and we've had discussions during the meetings. I never really, and I've read up on this, and I'd like to get more clarification and more consensus about what our role is, if it's possible. Is that something we could do?
We could, or why don't we take that up with capital plan first?
Yeah, well, we're two of us are
And
here.
it is an issue that since you've been on capital plan, you've been asking, so we can go back and review it again.
Yeah, I just want clarification, for myself, and I'd like the committee to be more clear because I don't see that either.
All right, so yeah, I think maybe we could spend a few minutes before the next capital planning meeting, just sort of pulling the kind of relevant text from, I think, there's a description on the website, for example, and look to see if there's any confusion based on that. Susie?
So I was expecting that the capital improvement planning committee charge or it has sections 1 through 5. That's one source. And then in our municipal finance guidelines book, it also on page 4 talks about capital improvement committee. Is there any other source of what we would be looking for the roles defined and how they interact?
The only other source I've found, Susie, is the state guidance, that's provided, Department of Revenue, and and also the the Mass Municipal Society or Institute, what's it called, MMI or
MMA.
Finance Committee, part of that. They all address this, and it's all subject to interpretation to some degree. But there are broad guidelines in all those places.
Maybe you could gather those together.
I'll attempt to do that, Susie, and I'll forward it to the committee. The links.
Becky?
I just heard back from Kristen. Is it possible for her to reschedule for 2 weeks? She's
Yeah.
has a sick dog she's trying to deal with.
Okay. So we'll take her request up on the 21st.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, Bob, is your hand up from the
Oh,
earlier?
that's before, I'm taking it down.
Great. Okay, I see Gail's joined us. Gail, could you give us some background information about your item that you asked to be put on tonight's agenda?
Yes, the town website is currently running on Drupal 8, which was no longer supported for some time. And the proposal is a one-time project that we are requesting a professional to upgrade the website from Drupal 8 to Drupal 9. And that would be deploying it and checking it out, making it pass all the tests. And in addition to that, making several changes to function that we on the committee have not been able to do ourselves. It involves coding in the background and access to various procedures that we are not able to do ourselves. So we're asking this professional to take on those tasks, which he says are small and straightforward. And he's given us an estimate, two different estimates. One is for the Drupal upgrade itself, separate. And then the second is for the changes in functionality that would occur after the Drupal upgrade. And I sent you those. Can you pull those up on screen or pull up the spreadsheet where I laid out the costs? Maybe that would be more instructive.
Okay, I'm going to do that now. All right.
I want to make clear that this is a one-time project. This is not asking for an ongoing, it go up above that, please. There you go. Okay, even more.
That looks like it's the
Yeah,
top.
that's it. Okay. And can you enlarge it or can I do that on my own screen, I guess?
Make the text a little bigger here. Let's see.
Okay,
Too big. Let's see.
a little bit smaller. Okay, okay, then go up. So the first estimate, can you go up?
So are you not seeing the
I'm trying to get it zoomed down a little bit so I can get it all in one.
maybe I
Okay,
Because he's at the top.
Maybe 150.
does that help?
that's good, good. Thank you, yeah. So the first estimate, number 60461, is to upgrade the website to Drupal 9, straightforward. That's been a task before the committee for over a year and a half now. So, and it's getting fairly urgent in as much as this is no longer supported. Drupal 8 is no longer supported. So we have some security risk there. The structural changes and functional changes are not just cosmetic, but they are how the display will be handled. And particularly on the functional change is to make the search engine go to the public facing pages. As it stands now, the search function goes to the back end pages, which is to say, goes to anything that has ever been put on the website. So that includes out-of-date pages and pages that are already on the website, public facing pages. So this change, this functional change, would make the search function go directly to public facing pages. The design improvements are to change the primary menu to a multi-column format, which has been a suggestion Susie made how many years ago. I can send you a graphic of what that will look like. Willa Jarnigan did the coding for that and gave it to the committee to employ. And no one on our committee was able to do that. So we've added that to the list for a small robot to take care of. If you got the email, you'll have an attachment that has a Word doc with the graphic of what the multi-column format will look like.
All right, so. Would you like me to publish that here?
Sure.
So.
The fact that we have so many committees and boards now means that long menu means scrolling, scrolling beyond the length of the screen. So a multi-column format should make it easier for people to pinpoint the committee or the menu item that they want to get to.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry.
You need to get to the attachment. Yeah. And Small Robot is an independent contractor. We had started talking with Pantheon, which is the host of our site, and they do not do the upgrades. They referred us to Origins, which is a big institution. And the more conversation I had with the fellow at Origins, he said, you know, we have to charge you a minimum dollar amount for whatever it is. You've got very simple, straightforward things here. You would do better to go to an independent freelancer. And he recommended Small Robot, who has given us these estimates after much conversation back and forth as to specifics. But here's what the multi-column format would look like. On the committees and boards, which is the longest menu.
So right now, that's all in a single column, which people have to scroll.
Correct.
All the way to the bottom. Okay.
Correct. And on the smaller devices, it goes beyond the screen, so you lose it. Lose a scroll, Susie, not lose it.
No, some people lose it, actually.
That could be true, yes.
Oh, yeah.
True. Then just below that, AJ, is the addition of the word menu above the hamburger. Many people who are not familiar with website iconography would not know that those little 3 lines lead you to a menu. So that word would simply be inserted above to alert a reader that that's where that means.
Okay.
And the third item in the design is simply this picky editor's choice to make the font of the title pages, of the page titles, the same font as everywhere else on the website.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to your.
Go back to the spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet.
So the quotes, the estimates prices are in Canadian dollars. And what I provided here at the bottom in the green line is the cost in USD as of yesterday's currency exchange. So we would get both these estimates and the work accomplished for under $1,000, $802.81. That's varied by $1 or so over the last few days. And that would secure the website itself in terms of Drupal and complete the design changes that we have been investigating over the past 2.5 years. One-shot deal.
Okay. I'm actually trying to orient myself to where what budget line.
Those are an IT support budget line, and those are the ongoing annual costs. Notice that the Google Workplace is a cost imposed new as of last July. For years, we have been having free what was it called? Legacy G. This is for organizational emails, the @shutesbury.org emails.
Mhm.
And Google changed the rules of the game last July and charged X dollars per month per email address. And we have to keep all of our Shutesbury.org addresses intact. This is the sum we have to pay per year, 4,000 plus. And that's a new item that was not in last year's budget.
All right. So we ought to consider this, right? Because if I'm reading our latest expense report correctly, we've got $2,500 allocated for IT support.
Correct.
Is that, am I reading that correctly? Okay.
Can I just, so that support line is, the bulk of it is to be spent on actual IT support. That we have a guy, Hank Allen, that we pay to help support and set up new machines and facilitate. So I think at one point I don't know, the Pantheon fees and the other MailChimp was being paid out of there over time, but it's not clear to me. I think so we never added the emails to the support line for this year. I didn't know that. So that never happened for this current year, and we're going to have a shortfall. I've been trying to bandage back, getting payments from different expense budgets, but I'm going to need a transfer for IT support, because at this point, I'm basically paying for the overages. So it would be helpful to have that transfer done as well.
So, but I guess we don't even know, it sounds like there's some confusion about like how the Google, like what budget line the Google Workplace bills are getting paid out of? Like,
There's no confusion. We have no money in the budget for it, and I'm trying to make do. So that's what the problem is. We don't have, it never got put in the budget. It happened in the end of
Mid-year.
July and August, and we need to build it into the FY24 budget, but we also will need a transfer this year.
okay, all right, we've got a couple questions, so let's start with Bob and then go to Jim.
Yeah, first question I have is on that line there. I see it begins on July 1st, beginning of the fiscal year. And I'm just asking, I don't have any idea what, I know that Google pulled a fast one. They provided the service free and it was well established. And then now they're charging what seems to me to be a lot of money for the service. And I just wonder whether you all have looked into options for that service, some other vendor. Is there such a thing? Can somebody else provide the service besides Google?
Who are you asking?
I'm
Bob?
asking Gail.
It was not a matter of choice. It is either we keep the @shutesbury.org and pay, or drop it, lose it.
And
There's
Gail,
no
I do.
alternative vendor, you're saying, that can be used.
Oh, could we have chosen a different host?
Right.
Yes, we did look at those. They had additional costs and some rather insecure features, if I remember correctly. It did not seem feasible to go to a different vendor.
I'm just talking about going forward. I know we're there now, but
Yeah.
is there another way we could do this that would cost us less money? That's what I'm asking.
Becky, did you?
I just want to mention, Gail, I believe the monthly charge is $169, not, I think you've doubled the monthly charge. Is that possible? Because what I've been paying has been $169.
I certainly like that better.
Okay, I see. So that would replace what's in here as 337.
Yes.
Yep.
What was that number, Becky?
I believe it's 169. I'm sure I'm off by pennies, but that's,
Oh, that's much better.
yeah.
Okay,
And
So that's what we're paying per month. That would be the appropriate figure there. Yes.
And I just want to mention the importance of what they've done here. Yes, it is $2,000 more, but the way on the free system, what would happen is whenever I got too many emails, my system shut down and stopped accepting new emails. And outside of a few, spending 3 days of a vacation trying to solve it the first time it happened, it's very difficult in my position to keep the number of emails down. And at this point, I've got, it's much more open, and I've got, it's not a critical situation at a minimal amount of emails as it used to be. So that's also another benefit.
And 2 terabyte storage as opposed to 30 meg,
25 meg.
25 meg.
Yeah.
15.
all right. Jim Henry,
But that's a separate thing from the project we're proposing.
Yeah, that's all just the,
Just to my follow-up, I just want to say I support the work that you proposed on the upper line. It's a little shocking that how little the Canadian dollar is worth, but $800 to renovate and to upgrade your website seems like a very reasonable cost. The other items on the bottom, now you're not proposing that money now or tonight.
No.
I would like to push forward on the Google Workspace account, since I'm the one who is out of pocket trying to cover it because it's not in the budget. I would appreciate if the WEC committee would support getting a transfer for the $2,028.
and Becky, with that, I mean, this would need to be a new budget line moving forward, right? I mean, this is not a
You can do it that way, or it should go into the IT support line.
All right. So let's see, Susie.
No, it was Jim Hemingway first.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Jim and then Susie.
Gail, tell us about security issues and whether Drupal 8 or 9 is there, how do you feel about that? Is our site more secure than it was, and how concerned are you about it? I mean, we hear all these horrible things that happen about ransomware and stuff like that. I like to know what security we have currently.
As I understand it, and I'm not real knowledgeable on the security technical stuff, but Drupal 8 is no longer supported. So if something goes wrong, we have no help at all beyond our own staff and capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Drupal 9, we have all kinds of support, and it apparently closed some of the loopholes that were causing problems before in 8.
I see. And the money we spend on Google hopefully includes all of the email security that would come with that. I would trust. I mean, Gmail is pretty good when it comes to being able to filter out, bad stuff. In fact, I think it's the best of all of the, the options that are out there right now. But it has occurred to me many times that something could get in through if we did not have adequate protection. And boy, if our town system got hacked in any way, it would just be a real horror show.
Yes.
Susie.
So I appreciate the work that Gail and the committee did. It's important to recognize that we've run out of free labor. The Drupal 8 system was brought in and managed by free volunteers, and also with the Google free system. It's time to put some money into this and let the committee take up other matters. And as far as everything that has to do with computers, it always will get more expensive, and there is no way to go back. And so I feel like if we have, the one concern I have is that the volunteers worked on systems that now we need a new company, the small robot company, to do it. And if we make sure it's not sort of a one-off or not sort of not common, because whatever they do and however they help us, other people need to be able to interact around it in the future. So it sounds like the recommendation was made by a company that's reputable, and I hope that this is sort of not generic, but competent and not too one-off. And they are from Canada.
Okay. Any other questions? Gail, when does the web committee want to do this work? Is this something that you want to do
Immediately, if possible.
Okay. So this is not something that we could entertain as an FY24 budget certification. This is something that would require a transfer at this point.
Yeah, I think so, because the upgrade to Drupal 9 in particular is got some urgency to it for security reasons.
All right, Susie?
I'd like to make a motion that the FinCom transfer $802.81 or thereabouts, given the exchange rate, for the web committee to complete this upgrade.
I'll second it.
All right. Becky, I think you were hoping to sort of build, if I understood you correctly, this Google Workplace expense into this request, or?
They could be handled separately if you want. I'm not sure where else we can put the $803 if it's not in the IT update. I mean, IT support line. That's only our only computer line, basically. But a new line could be created if Gail wants.
Gail?
If you're talking about a budget line, though, that means it could not go forward until after the beginning of the fiscal year. And I don't know how long these estimates are going to stand.
No, it's a transfer.
It'll be a transfer.
Oh, okay.
The $800 we pay now.
Okay.
Yeah. And they can transfer it right into the IT support line, and you can pay out of that, or Gail would make a temporary, Gail Weiss, the accountant, would make a temporary account
Okay.
For the Drupal upgrade if you want.
Okay. Thank you.
I guess because it's a project, I don't know if I think it's a good idea to roll it into the IT support, which we would want to establish an FY24 number that would probably be the 2,967, and we also have to do just a transfer of 2,028 for this year.
Yeah, and the IT support will be quite a bit more than that, because the IT support itself is, yeah, I don't know where the web committee was paying for some of these items.
Bob?
Yeah, I just like the idea of voting on Susie's proposal. I think that's keeping it clean, and we think it will find it. I think there's a lot of questions about the second part of this transfer as it's been discussed. I would like to vote on the 802.81 separately.
Okay. Any other, Gail? Yep.
Yeah, may I point out that the 802 is an estimate, and the actual billing will be on actual hours that it took. It could be less. If it's more, it would not be substantially more, but it would depend on the actual hours that he puts in to accomplish these goals.
Okay. Any other comments before we vote on Susie's motion? Bob?
Say that we could amend that to say up to $900, up to $900 to cover the work that's described in this.
Make it 1,000.
Mhm.
Cheapskates.
Pardon me?
So somebody's commenting and you're not muted, so please.
Did you turn it off? Oh, you can tell me that.
Okay, so
Okay, so
I
somebody's
make
talking in
I
the
make a,
background. I'd like you to mute yourself if you would. Okay. Bob, go ahead.
I'd like to ask for an amendment to the number to be up to $900 instead of 802.81. Is that acceptable to the committee?
Reasonable.
Yeah, I'll second that amendment. Okay, so I think we're ready to vote. I think process-wise, right, we have to vote on the amendment and then so let's do a roll call vote on Bob's amendment.
Urbanitis, aye.
Here,
Groves, aye.
Hemingway, aye.
Cashew, aye.
Mosher, aye.
Did we lose Jim Walton?
Got a J up there, but I don't know what he's up to.
Uh,
Oh, there he is.
Walton, I.
Thanks, Jim. So now we're going to vote on the amended motion. Transfer
Urbanitis, aye.
$900 to IT support line. All right, thanks, George. Melody, you're up.
start here, sorry.
Groves, aye.
Hemingway, aye.
Cashew, aye.
Mosher, aye.
Walton, I.
Okay. All right, Gail, so that's going to transfer to the IT support line, $900 for this project.
Okay, to make it official, I would suggest that you, the finance committee, reply to those two estimate emails to Small Robot, saying something to the effect that the finance committee has approved estimate number 60241, blah, blah. And you may proceed directly with the work described. And
I
then
think that's
CC,
your job, Gail.
I cannot speak for the finance committee.
Well,
No, but your money's been approved by the finance committee and you can let Small Robot know that your funds have been approved.
I see. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
And I will CC the FinCom and the web committee and you, Becky, so that we're all on the same page officially with that.
Great.
Great.
So
Thank
I
you.
will reply to them, but yes, the funding has been approved. Go ahead.
Correct. You're-
Okay,
Yes, you can
great.
do.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gail. All right. All right, I think, let's see. I think all of our sort of major business has been taken care of, so we can just do updates now. Susie, did you?
It sounded like Becky wanted us to make a
Oh, yeah.
transfer for the FinCom.
That's right. Thanks, Susie. Oh, it's been a long day. All right, so Becky, what do you think's the, look, I guess just to sort of wrap my head around this. So there are really two issues, right? I mean, one is we've got to deal with the FY23 implications of this cost increase, right? And that's, sounds like that's your recommendation or your request would be for that to be a FinCom transfer. And then I think there's probably a discussion to be had about moving forward with the FY24 budget, whether that IT support line is adequately funded at its current $2,500 level, right?
Right.
Okay.
Currently, the IT support budget is in the negative $891.26.
mostly because of this new fee.
Mm-hmm.
What did you say, George? Mostly.
I was just saying because of the new fee,
New fee, okay,
the 169 a month.
okay.
Times.
All right.
So it's been in play for, it'll be in play for 11 months this year because it started on August 1st. It was delayed. That's $1,859. I think if you could consider making a transfer for that, then we can make it through the end of the year and pay the Google prices and do all our other work. I still have to figure out how the web committee, what budgets they were coming out of, because we'll have a meeting and I'll go over all the issues hitting the IT support line. Because the other issue is we've always paid for Zoom through CARES money or ARPA money. And I think we are not going to have that moving into FY24. So if we're going to continue on using Zoom at all, those fees will all have to be built into the IT support line as well. And that's another $1,500 or more.
Could the state be liable for that since they just working on giving us a 2-year extension on Zoom?
Right after they cover all the other unfunded mandates, I'm sure.
Oh, 1,500.
Rich,
So Becky, you're asking for $1,813 for a transfer, is that your ask?
$1,859, yes.
I think it's reasonable. I'll make a motion that we transfer $1,859 into the IT account. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, IT support.
From our reserve.
George, your hand is up. Did you?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, so after we transferred the 900, we're at 23,050. 1859 is going to bring us at 21,191. So we're basically going to be down to, a pretty small amount for the last 4 months of the year. I'm not saying that, I'm just telling everybody so you're aware. Personally, it's making me a little nervous.
Yeah,
With 4 months to go in the year.
sure.
Becky?
I'll just remind everybody again, at annual town meeting, we can transfer over that 18,000, but it's not going to be now until June 3rd.
Right, I saw that.
So Becky, so Kristen's gonna be coming forward with a request. I don't have any details other than just when you email.
I think she's asking for about $5,000.
Okay. And that's a vehicle maintenance issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that put us at 16.
Yeah, so it's not an insignificant number. Okay. All right, well, we've got to deal with this request right now. So Bob made a motion. I'll second that motion. Is there any other discussion about it? Okay. George?
Overnight side.
Jim, I think.
Oh,
Bob.
Oh, sorry, Bob's up. Yeah.
sorry, I was muted. Groves, aye.
Hemingway, aye.
Cashew, aye.
Mosier, aye.
Walton, I.
Okay. And then Becky, I guess before like our March 21st meeting, when I think we're going to look at a draft budget,
Yep.
You'll have some kind of details on a more comprehensive IT support line and what cost that's going to.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we're at that point. If folks have committee updates or any other updates. I don't know if anybody went to Aaron Saunders' meeting today. Yeah. Again, I was hoping to get there and had meetings come up. Anything interesting to report, Susie?
I looked at his proposed legislation. He has one that's gonna go about the MSBA. And in his bill that he's proposing, he's the sponsor. He wanted to change a section that says no eligible applicant that submits a statement of interest to the authority pursuant to section 5 shall be denied an invite to apply for school facility grant solely because of the age of the system in need of repair. The authority may consider the age of the system in need of repair as a factor when reviewing applications for the purpose of designating approved school projects pursuant to section 6 and for the purposes of prioritizing the approval of school projects and reimbursements. However, no application shall be rejected solely based on the age of the system in need of repair, and provided further that the authority may prioritize the repair of older systems. So that's that little step forward.
Yeah.
And he himself was not there. He was in Boston. His rep is Jeremy Patnod. And so it was mostly, a listening, which they did last time. Natalie Blay sends out a newsletter, and she had 38 bills she's sponsoring, and then many that she's co-sponsoring. And so I got to look at sort of an old hand, the work she does, knowing what she knows and having done it for a while. He hasn't gotten to that stage yet, so he only had like 10 bills. But it was good to see something that was relevant to us. And I mentioned the utilities, which is one of the bills that Natalie Blay is sponsoring, looking at utility rates and regulatory, something in respect to regulatory frameworks for gas and utilities. So it's on their screen. Legislation is slow. And he is a newer rep than they are, but they work together. And it felt like the purpose of the meetings is to sort of poke what should be on the screen. He did say that as Aaron gets used to the water in the pool, Tuesdays are not a good day for him. He's already probably in Boston, so he's looking to move it to either Mondays or Fridays. And since when they do this trip, they go to Wendell, so they're going to work it out. So the once a month visits may be moved to either Monday or Friday, and they'll let us know. His newsletter is just about to come out. You can get on his email list. You can go to his website and get on his email list. And they are, I thank them for their work on the PFAS situation, because I think he was really instrumental in helping support the town to work on it and point the way. And I think we need to give that kind of positive feedback. So I did send that email after it must have been a select board meeting. Was it a select board meeting? Did we talk about the PFAS? Yeah. So at this point, Shutesbury does qualify as a low-income community to get some zero interest loans, and somewhere between 20 and 39% of those loans could be forgiven. And normally the Clean Water Trust goes for municipal systems, but this goes he found a path for Shutesbury to apply for state grants to help address our PFAS system. So making sure that we keep our eyes on that and make sure we support him and let him know that we see him and we see what he's doing, and we're very supportive of those kind of efforts, which was both a town and a legislator effort. So that's what came up today.
All right, thank you, Susie.
Any other updates? Becky?
I just wanted to follow up. I think I met with the select board after the PFAS meeting that Rita and I went to with DEP, and the people that came from DEP they were from all over DEP, Western Mass office, but the primary person who was instrumental to the low, to the potential 0% loan is from the Clean Water Trust. And what she presented to us, we had met with her because of Aaron Saunders about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks before the DEP meeting. And it was Lenny Zaronka, the fire chief, myself, and Eric Stalker as select board. And when we met with them, the big problem was the Clean Water Trust predominantly only funds public water supplies. So in our case with private wells, they didn't have money available. But she followed up, and our gentleman we had worked with at DEP, Sadi, had also reached out to the Clean Water Trust. At the same time, she was trying to get information from them, and he brought up Shutesbury's situation, that we were being asked to come up with a lot of money in a very short time to address our PFAS, and then through the notice of responsibility from DEP. And what she made clear in the meeting that we had about a week ago was that we will be able to, we put in our application for the zero interest loan for the amount of the full $136,000 that we currently have already spent, allocated and appropriated at the special town meeting. And as Susie described, she committed to a 20% loan forgiveness rate for towns that qualify as low income, such as Shutesbury does. And it could be even more. And we have until December 31st. So it might also expand beyond this current allocation of funds, and which is wonderful because we're spending a lot of money on labs and equipment. And this money, this loan, will help get us through the next 6 months, starting in July. So if nothing else, as a financing tool, this will help us address our PFAS problem.
Great, thank you. Bob?
Yeah, I just want to respond to what Susie and Becky said. I think it's fine to go to the meetings. It's wonderful that Susie's there. And I think another way to keep our representatives keep us in mind and our representatives' eyesight is to call or write to them. I've had tremendous success both writing to and calling state reps, state senators, and federal ones as well, just to keep us in their minds and to represent the town and our interest. Makes a difference because they have a lot of other things on their minds, believe it or not. And I think I personally will prefer to write than or telephone, or both, than going to the personal meetings where they tend to be. It's just not. I prefer the other method, but it's another way of getting in touch with them, and I intend to do that on this issue, certainly.
George?
Two things. One, I want to follow up on what Bob just said. If you go to the website, in fact, what Gail just showed us, the how-to section, one of them is how to contact your legislators, and it has all our legislators. It has their contact information. So if you're inclined to write those letters, the information is right on our own website on how to reach them. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the Chapter 70 for FY24. There was a Department of Local Services notification came out last week informing us that the governor's numbers came out. And I don't know if you read it in the paper, but it's also online at the DLS that they're increasing funding for Chapter 70 by 8% this year. But our numbers are there, and ours looks like it's going to increase by about $3,000. So it's not 8% for us. But I don't know if everybody saw that, but it's out there if you want to look at it. But it looks like our aid from the state is actually going to be lower this year than last year. from the governors, looking at the governor right now, and the big decrease, the reason is because of a decrease in the charter tuition assessments and the school choice. So I just wanted to let everybody know about that. But Becky, I know you're going to be showing us that anyways, right? When you put together
Yeah.
the budget, you're going to have the revenue section.
That pie in the sky of the billionaire tax didn't work out too well either for our community, so.
Not for us.
Susie?
And for that, for the reason that the DLS numbers showed us having a decrease, it's important to continue to point out the problems with the charter funding and the decreasing scale they use. And when we talked to Aaron in February, that is a known fact, and how they'll ever get around to re-wrestling charter and tuitions and all that, that doesn't, I didn't see any of those bills proposed.
That's going to take a long time for them
Yeah.
to straighten out.
But that's where it's, so this whole thing about sort of giving with one hand and taking with another, it's pretty painful.
Okay, Jim Walton.
Yeah, just a quick, I might have missed something earlier. The capital spending budget, did we reschedule that for a future meeting?
Yeah.
Or-
So
Okay.
that's the next meeting. They're getting pushed to, what is it, the 21st?
The next meeting sounds like it's going to be busy.
Yeah, it is. We might have to, well, we'll see. We're definitely going to need to do the broadband review, capital planning review, and look at preliminary FY24 budget. If we have time, we're gonna come back to this issue of any suggestions or recommendations or requests we have for Caitlin, in terms of how we want school budget information presented. But if something has to drop out of that meeting, I think it's gonna be that, because the other three topics have to get dealt with. Susie?
Our calendar also expanded by 2 weeks. It's going
Yes.
out to June 3rd.
Yeah, you're
So we do have some time that we might reallocate.
And actually, I've got to update that on our FinCom schedule. Yeah. Okay, any other updates before we wrap up? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Arvin, I decide. Arvin, I decide.
Hemingway, aye.
Cashew, aye.
Mosier, aye.
Walton, I.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Good night.
8:19, very
Good
good.
night, everybody. Thank
All right.
you.
Yeah, all have a good night.